This is the village of Oreš in north-central Bulgaria in the municipality of Svishtov. The church is one of the central features of the village, as is the shop, this bus station and the village school. Children from the school are allowed to leave the school as and when they like and go into the village shop, and here we are in the village shop with them. There is a cafe next door to the shop, but it only serves drinks, so you come into the shop, you buy yourself your food of whatever snack you want, and there is a machine for doing hot dogs or some such thing. It looks like a machine of torture to me. And this is where we came every morning to sit with the locals and enjoy their company. And so we head off and get back into our car and go up to Davey's house, where we've been staying during our time in Oreš. Davey is known by the villagers as being someone who will feed any stray cats or kittens that they come across. So quite a lot of them have turned up at his house and continue to do so every day. 30 odd was the last count, I believe. Davey lives in a detached bungalow that he enlarged and extended and completely renovated when he first came to Bulgaria some 6 or 7 years ago, and you wouldn't believe the changes he's made, but that's another story. Let's go and look at some of our own houses and see if we can do anything with them. This is the view from the top of the hill overlooking Oreš, where my house is situated. And just in front of us now you can see the roof, or lack of it, as this is the roof that collapsed, taking all of the inside of the house down to the ground floor. As we walk down the hill towards the front of the house, you can see this annex, which is to the left as you look at the face of the house, and it has very little damage. Some slight damage to the roof, the windows and doors are missing, and there's this big open section that hasn't been used for indoor space. This is the bit I plan to change, to turn into a bedroom, into a bathroom, and into a kitchen diner, and that will give us the West Wing Annex, where we can start our work on the rest of the house. This room would be the bedroom, and as you can see, it has tremendous views over the hills and the village below. I think it'll be great to open the curtains in the morning from our bedroom and look out over the village and the hills. Whether it's sunny or it's covered in snow, it's going to look fantastic. And there's another window in the bedroom too, which looks out sideways onto the centre of the house, which I'm calling the courtyard. If you look at this from the outside, you can see that the bedroom and bathroom have an entrance door and stone steps leading up. This is the view, and instead come down some internal stairs into the single-storey section you can see just to the right here. And then we'll have a completely self-contained flat that we can use while we work on the rest of the property. This is the view from my courtyard. As you look over to the right, you can see the storage area. It's dry and it's clean, and it's a barn apparently, and this is where we'd store all the building materials we take from the main building that's collapsed. You can see in the pictures the main entrance to the house. You can see through the windows that there's daylight coming through into the upstairs. That's because the upstairs is now downstairs. Just inside the front door there you can see a load of rubble. And if I just poke the camera through here, you can see fresh air above. This is the inside of the house, and what would have been the roof above is now the sky. And Colin is looking into an area between the main house and the barn, which was used to store grain or something like that, animal feed, who knows. It's again remained dry, the roof is intact, and it features a fair amount of storage and an outside toilet. So there's the view, the overview of the whole project, and the view across the valley isn't really visible today because it's misty, but this has so much potential. There is my house. The plans begin in the spring of 2017. And so we walk back to the car, looking once again at my poor old roof, which has collapsed into the house.
You want to play in Justine's house. You're my special guest today. Justine's house. It's the place you want to stay in. Everybody's welcome here in Justine's house.
This is one of the more prominent buildings in Svistov. It's in a fairly elevated position and it's surrounded by various staircases up and down a hill which overlooks the river Danube. It's an interesting area, having this large human sundial which our volunteer is now demonstrating. You can see a shadow as she stands in the middle, and it's casting itself over the number 12, which means we were here at midday. Our volunteer is photographer Zlati, who is from the Svistov area, and her mum is also seen in the picture there, as is the river Danube, which we have a great view of from here. Our own photographer Colin from Chester has come over to spec the place out to see if it's a good place to bring other photographers, and as you can see there's a number of ruins and also some very nice buildings to photograph and some good backdrops. And now we come back down the hill and we go into Zlati's old school. She demonstrates now where all the interesting features are, but it's quite a piece of architecture right up to the ceiling. There's some fantastic walls, corridors, ceilings, paintings, you name it. This place is good for photographs and apparently also used for weddings. Moving on, and we now visit one of the museums in Svistov. This one is actually dedicated to the person who lived there, and you're allowed to have a look around his house where his family lived. We went around the house with a guide, and she told us what used to happen in all these rooms. I won't tell you much about them because you can see for yourself that one is a bedroom, one's a dining room, one's a kitchen, and so on. But it was very interesting because it's been very well preserved, just the way it used to be. Now we move a little outside Svistov, and if you look at this map, you'll see the River Danube splits into two and there's an island in the middle. And Mr. Smiley there is in the place where these shots were taken. We start with a drink of water from the mountain spring, and then we head for the woods. When Colin runs his photographers' trips, he brings, say, half a dozen photographers, 2 or 3 models, and takes them to various locations that are unique to a particular area or country. So you might argue that a forest isn't unique, but having the River Danube in the background might be. We didn't have a model for the shots here, so we had a driver. Zlati's sister was driving us around that day, that's Daniela, and she volunteered to act as a model so that Colin could get a feel for the various places. And Daniela even volunteered to climb that tree, but it wasn't the kind of tree for climbing, let's be honest. Of course, the River Danube is a pretty well-known river, and there are therefore lots of places that have been created as tourist sites along the banks of this river. And we're on the Bulgarian side here. What you can see across the river is Romania. The river divides the two countries. And I think Daniela's doing very well there, still taking her phone calls and doing all the normal things, but she's also posing for a few photographs for Colin, and he was pretty pleased with it. So we'll look forward to a trip for our photographers and models next year.